Today's show is dedicated to one man and one man only, and it is this guy right here, PG-13, Paul Goerge. Should the Miami Heat trade for him? This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. We're going to talk about Paul Goerge and what he could do for the Miami Heat if no Damian Lillard trade happens. But before we do get into PG-13, I want you guys to be the most informed Heat fans on the planet. One way to do that is to subscribe to the channel. A second way to do that is to follow me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. I'm talking everything Miami Heat on the Bird app. F Elon Musk. It is not X. It is Twitter still. Follow me. First 10 people get a shout out on the next show. But I do want to preface this by saying this Paul Goerge hypothetical is only if a Damian Lillard trade does fall through. I'm still confident that the Heat are going to get Damian Lillard, but it is always nice to think about what some backup options could be if Dame doesn't go to the 305. And this did all start with a Bleacher Report article that suggested the Heat should trade for a Paul Goerge or Pascal Siakam if no Damian Lillard. This is what they had to say. The Heat have appeared in three of the past four Eastern Conference Finals and twice reached the championship round in this stretch. So they don't have to do anything. But team president Pat Riley has never been one to skip a whale hunt. And it's easy to let the imagination run wild with thoughts of what a high-end scorer could mean to this half-court attack. If Miami can't get Lillard, it shouldn't automatically abandon its search, but both Goerge and Siakam have uncertain futures with free agency awaiting them next summer. Goerge would have to decline a $48 million player option for 24-25 to get there, and maybe that uncertainty would drop their trade costs enough to fit the Heat's budget. And I'll say this when talking about specifically Paul Goerge. I am in love with Paul George's game. He is one of the smoothest hoopers that we have in our association, and he can really score at all three levels while providing a good two-way ability. And we know what the Heat love. They love players that can do it on both ends, a la Bam Adebayo, a la Jimmy Butler. When you can score at a high rate when it matters most and defend at a very high level, you're going to have a spot in a Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley system. So I could see Paul Goerge fitting in with the Heat culture very, very well. And we'll break him down more in depth here in a second. But our pinned comment is a doozy today. Would you be in on PG-13 if the Heat do not trade for Damian Lillard? Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Very interesting to see what the Heat could do if a Damian Lillard trade does fall through. I'll say this, I'm 99% sure that Damian Lillard is going to be wearing the uniform you see on screen right now when it comes to October and we get this season underway. I truly do believe Joe Cronin and the Blazers will come around and finally negotiate with Pat Riley and the Miami Heat to get this deal done, and both sides can move on and be happy in their own special ways. But Paul Goerge would be a great backup plan because he is very used to being an elite scorer, and when you see your stats on screen, and he's very consistent. Sure, the games played, the injury concern, it is concerning. Let's just call a spade. Like, he doesn't play a lot, and that is scary. But when he does play, he is so damn good, averaging 20-plus a night the past 4 seasons. He also could put up 5 rebounds a night, mostly 6. He also can dish the rock a little bit. I don't see it on screen, but he has been the playmaker for Los Angeles for the most part over the past 3 or 4 seasons. And then he's an efficient basketball player as well, right? Shooting over 40% from the field every single year. And that three-point number is what stands out to me. 41, 35 in a down year, but he was hurt, only played 31 games, and then back to 37 this past year. But I know you guys are going to come out to me and say, but it's playoff P. It's playoff P. He can't do shit in the postseason. I disagree. And I know his numbers go down in the postseason, but in 108 playoff games, he's a very established playoff player. He knows what the lights are. He knows what the pressure is like. And he still averages 21 points a night. Yes, the efficiency does take a dip. But here's my thing when you think about Paul George's fit with the Miami Heat. If it's in the postseason, he doesn't have to do it by himself. Why? He's got Jimmy Butler. He's got Bam Adebayo. And if he has those two guys, he won't have all the pressure on him. When he was with Los Angeles, Kawhi Leonard's in and out of the lineup. When he's with Indiana, he had to do it mostly on his own for offense. I'm not taking a look at what those bubble numbers were. I know they were bad. I still think Paul George can perform in the postseason, and especially when you see him pair up with Jimmy and Bam, the weight on his shoulders, I should say, is not going to be as heavy as it used to be. I think he would be an excellent fit with the Miami Heat. And I just got to say this too. Dude is tough with a lot of Fs. He is very, very good at the game of basketball. Just the way he can get to his hezzy, get to his mid-range, step back, side step, three-point range. He is so damn good at scoring the basketball, and we know based off what the Heat struggled with in the postseason last year and the regular season, they need more scoring, and there's a reason why they lost the NBA Finals, right? They only reached 100 points in that 5-game series against Denver one time. That is flat out unacceptable. Paul George would definitely help the Heat scoring in the biggest moments. But you did hear in the quote mention the contract, so here it is. $45.5 million this season. Next year, he has to opt in to $48.7 million, but I think he would absolutely do that based off his age, his injury history. I think he's opting in. But then you look at what in 25-26, he's an unrestricted free agent, so the Heat could technically sign him then. He would be 35, so it would be interesting. But this would be the contract you would get if you traded for him this offseason. And there is something I want to mention about Paul George's contract. When you think of him versus Damian Lillard's got 4 years left on his deal, and he's getting paid a lot of money. So if you did trade for Paul George this year, you have him for potentially 2 years, and maybe only one. And you have for him for less years with less money. That provides you with a lot of flexibility towards the future and the current. So it would be very intriguing to see how the Heat's front office of Andy Ellisberg, Pat Riley, would be able to manipulate Paul George's contract, potentially an extension if they did trade for him, to help the team in the future. But I want you guys to subscribe to the channel because guess what? If Dame does or doesn't get traded to the Miami Heat, we are going to have you covered. We just crossed 5,000 subscribers, so I appreciate you guys very dearly, and we are just going to keep on growing this channel, and when the season comes around, we'll be doing live watch parties. So if you want to be informed on the Miami Heat through this season, plus the rest of this offseason with all the trade rumors, make sure you hit that sub button at youtube.com/Heat Report. All right, let's look at George's advanced shooting because you know that we like to take a look at the advanced shooting metrics on each player that he could potentially get. And when you look at PG-13's numbers, they are very, very good. When he's shooting very close to the basket, he's 62.1% from the field. That is one of the highest metrics we've looked at from a wing/guard. We haven't looked at too many bigs, but 62.1% inside 10 feet is astounding. Paul George is an excellent finisher around the rim, whether it be on your head with a little tap, whether it be a nice little fillet around you, or a nice little floater. Paul George can score around the basket in any way. When he gets to that mid-range, too, he's also deadly, 42.2% in the pull-up range. But when he shoots the pull-up three, he's also very good. 36% on the pull-up three is astounding. And then when he's catching and shooting a three, 38.4%, which he'd be able to do a lot more of that with the Heat than he does with the Clippers because you'd have Jimmy and Bam kicking it out to him for more looks at the three-point arc. But let's go deeper, something we do at the Heat Report every day, and you don't want to get told let's go deeper often outside the YouTube studios. But anyway, when you look at what he can do with the ball in his hands, one dribble pull-up, 59% from the two range, whether that be catch one dribble to the rim or a little pull-up range. Now, one thing that is concerning, 24.2% from the field is very concerning from three, but it only gets better as we go. Two dribbles, 49% from the inside the arc, and 42.9% from three. And then as you see, as he continues to dribble more and maybe get to that isolation bag, his numbers continue to be good, 50% in the two-point range and 36 and 39 from three. But let's go even deeper. And you know we like to talk about tightness around here when it comes to how you're being defended in the league. And when he's guarded very, very tight, nothing really changes for him. He still shoots 48% from beyond or inside the arc. And then when it's go to 2 for 4 feet, he's 54.8%. You obviously see the three-point numbers stay the same, whether it be very tight or tight. And then when he's left open, those numbers skyrocket to a point that is very, very plausible. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to talk about here. He's one of the most talented players in the league. And based off the metrics I just showed you and those specific analytics, you can come to the conclusion that whether he be open or he's creating for his own, whether it be a tough isolation step back where defenders are draped all over him, it does not matter. He is still going to be able to get that bucket, and it's been the thing the Miami Heat have missed over the past 2 to 3 seasons. I love Tyler Herro, but he can't do it consistently against really tough defenders. Paul George can, and a big three of Butler, Bam, and George would be sensational, and I believe they would be able to win the NBA Finals. But there is a very, very big question that we have to ask ourselves. What would it cost to get PG-13 to the 305? It's a very fascinating question, because he's older, got an interesting contract. It wouldn't cost as much as Dame, but he's not going to come for free either. Before we talk about what would he cost, I want to get you guys hooked up with the best sports book in the game, BetUS, and you can get 125% deposit bonus when you go to chatsports.com/bet, put in promo code chat125. For example, if you put in $100, they're going to give you $125 to play with for free, giving you $225 total, and you could bet on anything: college football, NBA, NFL. We know those two sports are coming up very soon, but if we look specifically at NBA bets, I'm slamming the Miami Heat plus 450 to win the Eastern Conference. Why? Because they're going to get some whale out there, whether it be Paul George, but we know it's going to be Damian Lillard, and there is no way the Heat do not win the Eastern Conference with Dame on this team. So plus 450 is basically stealing. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code 125. Get hooked up today and make yourself some money. All right, my trade idea for Paul George is this. And I was tossing and turning with how many first-round picks I should offer to the Clippers with alongside Tyler Herro. But I think Herro, Duncan Robinson, and then a 28 and 2030 unprotected first-round pick is more than fair, right? I think this is a very fair deal for Paul George, and I would be willing to argue that Tyler Herro in one first-round pick is fair for Paul George. You might think, how is that possible? Well, he is 33 years old, and his contract is up in 1, maybe 2 seasons. So that is why you're going to get him for a little bit less than what I think he is worth, right? When you just think about in a vacuum how he can impact a team, sure, his trade value is higher than 2 firsts and Tyler Herro. But when you factor in the age, you factor in the contract, that value goes down, and I think this deal would be able to get it done. But I want to ask you guys, are you accepting this trade? Type A for accept, type D for decline. It is an interesting one. I know it's going to be tough, and all of you guys are going to say Damian Lillard, but I think this is a very fair deal for a backup option in Paul George if Dame does not happen. And that's kind of what my main point is, right? If Damian Lillard does not happen, I'm accepting that trade. Say Joe Cronin and the Blazers say in 2 weeks, there is no chance in hell that I am trading Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat, and then now Pat Riley has to find a backup option. I am absolutely calling up Ballmer in LA to see what's good with Paul George and see if I can get PG-13 from LAC with that deal. Before we head out of here, I just got to do a little PSA for you guys, and it is this. You might be thinking, what's going on here? But here at Chat Sports, we do a lot of fun stuff, including getting a live tattoo on a stream at the Raiders Report. They're also doing a Madden sim between the Raiders and Saints. So if you want to see a grown man get a tattoo on live while drinking some beer, check out the Raiders Report and see what's good with them. They're going to be live all day, by the way. But that's it for today's show. As I said off the top, follow me on Twitter. It's the best way to be informed on your Miami Heat, at Nic_Rohloff, because if news does happen with Miami, I'm going to tweet about it first, then hop in the studio to film a video for you. So if you guys want to get the news first and then get the breakdown, Twitter, subscribe, all that good stuff. So make sure you go and follow me over there on Twitter.